Hey folks, Angra here. Today I wanted to discuss the topic on everyone's mind in the Ashes of Creation community. Is world PvP a mistake? Should Intrepid make PvE-only servers? Is the corruption mechanic on its own enough to prevent senseless slaughter of players just minding their own business? These are all valid concerns of people outside our niche community whom I've come across in comment sections while watching Asmongold's coverage of Ashes of Creation this weekend. In this video, I'll be addressing the criticism and talk about the design pillars of this highly anticipated MMORPG. With all that said and out of the way, let's discuss world PvP in Ashes of Creation. To understand the role world PvP plays in Ashes of Creation, we need to understand the fundamental systems behind the game and its core gameplay loop. Intrepid Studios have built their game on the principles of risk versus reward. For starters, the game is ridiculously grindy and requires a considerable time investment to progress your character both in terms of power and in terms of gathering artisan skills. Players can make the choice to alleviate the time requirement by conducting their grind in more efficient zones, which many people refer to as hotspots. However, by occupying those hotspots, those players might be preventing other nearby players from advancing their characters with equal efficiency, often leading to a conflict of interest. This isn't as noticeable between solo players, as they might simply decide to form a group and turn it into a win-win situation, where both players benefit from less required time and effort to grind mobs. However, things might not be as simple as that when two already formed groups stumble across each other, as the presence of another group of players in the same area will drastically decrease the effectiveness of a hotspot, as mobs will quickly become more scarce, leading to slower leveling speeds. With this in mind, it's in the best interest of both parties to get rid of the other group, resulting in organic world PvP. However, during alpha testing this weekend, we've seen a different face of world PvP.
Oh, somebody killed me. Oh, shit! Wait, I died! Oh, shit, I lost experience, too. Okay, well... Alright. Alright. I think this is gonna have to be a game that I'm gonna have to play off-stream.
As Asango loaded into the game, he found himself continuously assaulted by other players, for the sole purpose of making his experience in the game worse. This kind of world PvP is just griefing, and is bad for the game. There is no real reason for this sort of PvP, and it's just senseless slaughter. This raises a fair question. How can Intrepid prevent this kind of player behavior? After all, not every PvP encounter is good for the game. What can Intrepid Studios do to combat blatant griefing under the guise of world PvP? I've seen many comments on YouTube insisting that the developers should make PvE servers, where world PvP would be opt-in. Sadly, this suggestion cannot work in a game like Ashes of Creation, as PvP is incredibly important to the risk versus reward aspect of the game, and as such is integral to the core gameplay loop of the game. Take world bosses for example. Without world PvP, the King of the Hill dynamic between guilds disappears. These fights are designed for added chaos, where you're not just battling a boss, but also defending your claim against rival players. Or think about the caravan system. Moving valuable resources between biomes is an entire gameplay pillar that depends on PvP to add tension and stakes. Without PvP, that intense, player-driven content vanishes. Caravans become mere transport quests, not the high-stakes cooperative efforts that make the game feel alive. Recently, the game's creative director Steven Sharif had an in-depth discussion on this very topic in an interview with Pirate Software.
To be clear, PvP is segmented into different, components. You have events, which are things like guild wars, guild sieges, and caravans, right? Those are opt-in. Players can choose to be a part of those. Then you have things like flagging, which is an open world mechanic that's intended to ensure risk exists for things like political activities, for opportunity, for scarcity of resources and or hunting locations. Like, that's where PvP is healthy and expected for players to engage with. However, we didn't have our safe zone tech or our PvP suppression tech yet online, and or there's a competing feature that might be implemented, which is basically the prevention of the open world flagging to apply to character levels that are level 5 or less, or 6 or less, whatever we determine that to be. That tech wasn't yet online.
So what else is there to do if we're unable to go with the tried and tested method of PvE servers that we've grown used to in games like World of Warcraft? Are we doomed to relive our Stranglethorn Vale trauma all over again, with max level players just waiting to camp us endlessly? Well, not quite. See, with the corruption system in place punishing random dishonorable kills, being camped by a single person as a non-combatant isn't something you should be worried about. The corrupt players incur a stacking penalty and just make the game harder for them if they decide to waste time ganking people for no reason.
Everywhere is a battlefield. Even if you're killing that boss, even if you're killing that mini boss, you're controlling a room in a dungeon, or you're, whatever you're doing, there is someone else who looks at that opportunity, who looks at that scarcity of resource, who looks at that political engagement, and they say, I woke up this morning choosing violence. And that's an okay thing to do.
In the end, World PvP in Ashes of Creation is a complex topic. It offers something rare, the potential for both cooperation and conflict, creating an open world experience where every encounter has the potential to be memorable. But for that to work, Intrepid has to be vigilant about balancing these mechanics, ensuring World PvP enhances the experience and isn't just a method for griefing players. So what do you think? Is there a way to improve the system without compromising the game's vision? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, this is Angra, signing off.